2016. Hello and welcome to the 2016 Spring Championships here in Europe. Apparently they can't hear me, but that's all good. Hopefully you guys at home can. We're here in beautiful Berlin where the top 8 teams of Europe are going to be clashing head-to-head for all the guts, the glory, and of course the right to call themselves champions. I'm the 4Justice and I'll be your host this weekend on desk with 2 of our competitive insights, the former competitive player, Jenny. It's good to see you again.
It's great to be here.
Yes, it's always awesome to have you here on desk. And of course, the man with more haircuts than I've had hot dinners, it's Rome.
1.18, let's do this.
Let's do it, man. All right, brimming with energy. We're going to get into the European Games here soon. But if you did not catch last weekend, we did actually crown ourselves a new North American champion. And if you didn't catch any of it, well, we're here to catch you up with some of the clips you might not have seen.
Hammers just coming out with a dominating game of points. Just absolutely flawless play coming out from them.
Another day at the office for Hammers Velocity.
Phoenix Reign, this is the team. They are playing exactly how people fear them. Yeah, and Phoenix Reign just absolutely dominates matchup against the Esports.
The reigning North American champions against arguably one of the hottest teams in Vainglory right now in Nemesis Hydra. Team Solo Mid are cleaning house and are going to take the game and the series. Our final matchup of the day.
Yes. Hammers Kinetic, one of the newer teams here, he told us, you know, they scrim a lot.
Hammers Kinetic will take the win and the series.
This was only day 1.
Phoenix Reign coming out swinging against one of the favorites for the entire tournament.
Velocity from out of nowhere coming back into this game. Reign just completely fell apart. If he, for example, hasn't found, he's actually going to Atlas Pauldron as well. The crystal! Oh, no, they're going to get him! Whoa, what? Oh my god, Reign!
Hammers Kinetic, they are on their line.
Stutter step! He's going to find Mitchie! I just lied right before that fight. Kinetic, they are back in the game. That was all over again.
Absolutely no idea how Hammers Kinetic pulled this one out. TSM looks dead set to win this.
Kinetic, what a performance from them.
Nemesis needed this fight so badly, and they found
Scout
it.
trap.
But my goodness, Nemesis Hydra!
Boom!
Right there.
Style, baby!
Oh, the Bonsi doing it!
And Nemesis Hydra bring it back in the second time, at the second rematch, in the Game 3 blind pick.
We will crown a new North American champion.
Definitely a very exciting weekend as we did crown Hammers Velocity as the new North American champs. Second place up to Team Reign. TSM getting knocked down to 5th. That's definitely going to be a little bit of a mountain for them to climb next time. But that story's all done. It is now the untold story of EU that will unfold this weekend. And as we get into some of the matches, let's go over a little bit about what we are going to see here today and this weekend. So we have 2 separate group matches for this one. And when we get to it, it will be Team Secret first off, Genier, up against the newer top 8 team, 4Justice, not a team that we've seen a lot of.
Yeah, so they're a relatively new team, and this is their first time in the live championships. But even though they're the 8th seed, we should not underestimate them. They've knocked out Snow Avalanche, they've knocked out Angry Pandas, and they took Gangstar Cerberus to a 3rd game. This is a team that has the potential to beat Team Secret here. There
is definitely some rumblings in the team interviews about, you know, the potential power of this. Could be a very similar story of what Media Pixel did back in autumn, even.
Yeah, definitely. So this is a team that have come out of nowhere. There's not much footage about them. It's going to be very difficult for the other top teams to try and analyze their playstyles.
All right, so they might have an advantage there, but that is up to Team Secret to defeat. Next is going to be the 4th and 5th seeds, probably one of the closer set of series that we're going to have here in Rome. But SK Gaming, Mouse Sports, not strangers to the scene here.
Yeah, and I do feel like this is going to be like one of my best matches to watch today. Both German teams, both have a lot that they really want to show. They've had a lot of competitive experience throughout the previous championships, and I feel this is the season. This is the season that they're really going to push it for the top.
Yeah, SK Gaming, one of the oldest organizations across pretty much every esport you can imagine. But Mouse Sports, they picked up Rebirth of Empire, I believe, back after the previous championship. So this is the first time they're kind of wearing their team colors, isn't it?
Yeah, but this time, like, they seem so refined. They seem like they've been working on a lot of things throughout the entire season up to date. And just to come up here today, they will be showing a lot, especially through this 1.18 meta. It's a lot of new things that have been changing around, and this is like the perfect chance for them to really challenge everybody, like gunning out for Team Secret, taking that #1 spot.
Yeah, everybody's going to be gunning for that first place. So that's only half of our games for the day. Will be all group stage, but if we flip over, this will be Group B, or the second group. And Gangstar's Cerberus going to be taking on Snow Tsunami. And Gangstar's, very similar situation, I believe, Zinyi. They now have like a brand to represent here.
Yeah, they've had a very meteoric rise, and this has been their first competitive season in the EU together. And, you know, they finished first in the Qualifier 1, they finished second in Qualifier 2. That's an incredible run for a team in their first season. I think the biggest question is that Leon is not going to be here. How will they fare? Will they be performing to the standard of play that we've been seeing them so far?
Yeah, Leon, one of the powerhouses here of Europe. Him not here could be an interesting story. The last set of the matches for the day, though, Seed 3 up against 6. G2 Kingwin, another team that's been around the block, but Team Clisha, not a team that I'm personally acquainted with, Rom.
Yeah, but with G2 Kingwin, everybody knows them, and I feel like this is the year their roster has gotten even stronger. I feel the synergy and the way that they're really impacting that mid to late game, they have a lot to really prove here today. But with Team Clisha, they went through a whole fairy tale ride just to be able to come here, beating a lot of huge teams like Lemon and Lime.
Yeah, well, Lemon and Lime, unfortunately, not quite making the cut here. Although I did see that Human has picked up one of the jerseys from the store, so they get a little bit of represent there. So these are the 4 games that we're going to be seeing today. Elimination bracket tomorrow, and then, of course, Championship Sunday as well. Nobody goes home today. That will be, all the tiers will be held up for tomorrow. But as we get into it, first matchup today will be the powerhouse for Seed 1 of Team Secret up against 4Justice. And, you know, it's going to be Team Secret as a 2-time defending champion, now looking for a third, something unprecedented today, at least here in Vainglory. And they had a few words for us here yesterday, so let's take a look.
I'm Mowgli, roamer and captain of Team Secret, and it feels really great to be on the scene again.
My name is Iske Valafar. I play as a laner for Team Secret, and we are the current European champion. We have one of the best team synergies probably in the world.
I think our team's biggest strength is our synergy, and a lot of people are talking about it.
The results are there because we are 2 times European champions. Everyone respects us and maybe also fears us because they know what our team is capable of.
If we don't perform at this tournament, maybe some other teams will take the room, and it's not viable. I will not allow that.
What I feel is that this live champion is going to be very important, especially for us, because if we win again, we're going to be 3 times in a row European champions. We want our chance to prove that we can match up against the best teams in the world.
So guys, I really expect you to support Team Secret. Cheers for us, and I hope you're gonna have a great show with us.
Some very heartfelt words there from Mowgli, the goofball himself. That crooked smile gets me every time, guys. But joining us on desk actually is going to be Valafar. Good to see you here, sir, once more.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and it's always absolutely a wonder to talk to you. So I'm going to lead off a little bit, because last time I saw you, it was NA versus EU. And you didn't exactly kind of come out on top of that. But I hear that you've bounced back. You feel stronger than ever. How do you feel over these last few weeks?
What I feel is that we are pretty confident about ourselves, and we are glad that Palmatoro is back as well.
And Mowgli.
And Mowgli, yeah, and Mowgli, exactly. So what our team wants to show right now is a different dynamic, as now we're playing with the main roster. So all the teams that are present here know our capabilities as a team and how we work together. So we are ready to show them, starting with the right foot, and show them that we are here to take it home again.
So, 4Justice, they've had a history of knocking out some big teams. How do you feel going into this series?
We feel when we play a series, we only care about ourselves, in terms of we have to stay faithful to ourselves and just play for ourselves. So we never underestimate, no matter what team we're facing against. And I know that 4Justice, they have something on their sleeves, and even if they are a minor team, look what happened with us in the Opton season. We were the seed 8 and we won it, so we can never count the team out until we destroy the Vayne.
You guys kind of doing that same journey yourselves, coming in as Media Pixel back in autumn. Now here you are, spring, a few championships later. Is there any fear that could be a repeat Cinderella story?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. I don't want that to happen, especially with us. So it's really important to us to start with the win and show the other teams that we're not here to play around.
All right, I'll make it mine quick and simple. 3-time European champions, can you do it?
Yes.
Booyah. Short and simple, sweet as it is. Thank you so much, Kavala Far. We'll have you go join your team. Best of luck in the matchups coming up. Mowgli looks pretty happy about that one as well. The NA versus EU event, they didn't have Pamatara, they didn't have Mowgli. He said, main roster is here now, and that could be a very different team than what we saw before.
Yeah, so they had Mowgli, who's their main. They actually didn't have Mowgli, who was their main shot caller, their captain. And he is the one that kind of controls the game. By not having him there, it was difficult.
All right, so Rome, we're going to be taking a quick look here at Team Secret, but full roster: Pamatara, Mowgli, Kavala, some impressive stats as well. But what looks to me though is Scarf. These are obviously the statistics from VGL through qualifier 1 and 2. But now that we're on a new patch, do you think that ban is going to change this tonight?
Yeah, this is where I'm really excited to be throughout this weekend here today, due to the fact that we will be playing on 1.18 and the whole meta has been shifted. There has been a lot of new perspectives on how they can really approach the game, how they can really outdraft their opponents. So we will have to wait and see. I do feel like Scarf might not be the most bad pick coming out into this match.
Right, and speaking of 118, Ginny, what's your kind of take on this?
Well, my take is that Team Secret have always been known for their ability to innovate and adapt really fast. And I think if any team is going to be pulling out any secret comps, this will be Team Secret.
The secret comps from Team Secret. The whole thing is just shrouded in mystery. There's just way too many secrets out there. But so 2-time defending champion looking for a third. A lot of pressure on these guys, but in their interviews, they're very confident, just like Kavala just said here. They're always trying to play against themselves rather than their opponents. They don't play to their opponents. If they can beat yourselves, there's a quote that comes to mind, if you're now superior to thy former self, that is actually progress and evolution right there. So we'll have to see how that works out for them, Room.
Yeah, no, definitely. I do feel like, with all these new teams coming in, like Team Cliche, you do have 4Justice over here. They don't have too much, footage on them. They do come into this with that surprise factor, and I feel like it can be like Media Pixel before, where one of the underdog teams has a big chance to make it real far into this championship.
All right, so let's talk about 4Justice, because this team, very strong, bonded team. They've apparently been playing in the same guild for over the years, so they might actually have a little bit of a hidden potential here. We did talk to them. The guild from Turkey had a few things to say.
Hello, my name is Jakub. It's also my IGN. I'm the laner of 4Justice.
My name is Shems. I am the supporter of 4Justice.
We are all from Turkey. We're Turkish players and we want to represent our country in this tournament and to show the people what we can do.
In the early game, we are trying to be together, and the late game, our leader is Jakub. He directs us to carry the game, and yeah, I believe Jakub.
I have the trust of my players to do the shot calling, and I think I will give my best in this tournament to do so.
In this pact, I think all the heroes is balanced, but to get advance, we need to select the true draft and pick.
The 1.18 patch actually balanced a lot of heroes more than it was before. Also the Lance we practiced a lot and we wanted to play him also. It can change some things up. The biggest challenges is actually to play in front of a big crowd. So this is very new for us. We haven't been on a stage before and we need to try to get used to it and to synergize with the team.
I think we will focus on the game and we will try our best.
We are known as the underdogs and we try to prove to people that we are also a good team.
As I said, a little bit of an unknown, but the guild from Turkey, now turned team, came together for the qualifiers, doing some fantastic stuff. We have now with us on desk as well, Jacob. It's good to see you, sir. It's, welcome to the top 8. How do you guys feel?
A little bit nervous, but yeah, we feel all right.
This is your first time as players, as a guild, as a team, being into a top 8 situation like this.
Exactly, yeah.
So there's a lot of footage about the other teams. Have you been taking advantage of the fact that, you know, there's lots of analysis to be done from game footage?
Yeah, sure. In every tournament, actually, we see Team Secret playing, and it can be advantage, but they are good players, and we have to see.
We talked to all the teams yesterday, and more than one said that they're a little frightened at your potential here. And 4Justice, a new team, a new brand, like, do you think you can take it all the way? You got to get right past Team Secret off the bat. That's going to be difficult.
Yeah, it's a hard task to master, but maybe we can pull it off.
Maybe? Just maybe?
Maybe.
Maybe?
Well, the thing was,
there you go. That's a bit better.
I asked you who you really want to play in this championship, and you told me Team Secret. Do you have something secret planned for them?
Not at all, but it's still nice to play against the best of Europe. And
the best of Europe, by the way.
Yeah.
You said that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, best of luck, man.
Thank you.
All right, Jakob, yeah, you can just go join your team right there, and we'll get this game rolling. Thanks so much for coming up.
Thank you, too.
And as we are going to have this one starting off here momentarily, ladies and gentlemen, Team 4Justice, they seem pretty humble about it, Zinnia.
Yeah, and they're surprisingly humble for a team that's not picked two of the big names so far, and certainly put a challenge to Gangster Cerberus. And, you know, there's a lot to be said about this team. If you look at their statistics, you know, they've got some impressive stats for a very new team.
Yeah, absolutely. Black Feather is definitely something that came up when we were studying all this roam, 28%. And he's a huge kind of comfort pick for these guys. With 118 coming into that, you think that's going to stay pretty consistent?
Yeah, looking at like previous matches, I do feel like Jakub does pick up that Black Feather quite often and making sure that he gets to that mid to late game scaling. And once he does, he starts to really take over the game. He makes those shot calls that where Ottomans and Shems, they come up and they really represent for that team.
Something I did notice, though, is that their average match time in 117 was a few minutes longer than some of the other teams that we looked at, Ginny. A lot of averages between 15, 16, 17 minutes, but they're closer to the 20-minute mark.
Yeah, and I think this might be because they do tend to favor compositions that actually are better at late scaling. So this might be why they're just better at defending and holding down the early and mid game, and then maybe being a little bit more aggressive in the later game.
All right, so we're going to be coming down to brass tacks here. The draft will be just moments away, ladies and gentlemen. But Rome, I want to ask you, who's your player to watch for Team Secret?
My player to watch for Team Secret is going to have to be Mowgli. You know, we missed him out over in the Champion vs. Champions event, and now he's going to be back here today, and I feel like he has been working on a lot of new things.
Okay, and now on the same side here, Jinyi, 4Justice, who is the man that you want to be looking at?
For me, it's going to be Jakub, and we've said before, and we looked at his stats, and he's played a lot of Black Feather, but when he does play Black Feather, he's very good at it. He's won almost every single game as Black Feather, so he's certainly a very talented laner.
All right, so I do believe that it is time to get this championship weekend rolling, ladies and gentlemen. #1 seed to take on #8 here as we are going to be jumping into the draft of the first game. 118 is the patch. We are now past all that 117 meta, the meta that evolved last weekend, not to be here. This is on live, and first ban goes to Secret, and there's no Scarf. That's a little surprising, Rome.
You know, that's just taking out one of the safety bets. They do feel like Scarf does give you that, you know, that late game potential. And as long as you take that out of the way, you can find a composition based around that meta that they feel is current right now.
All right, so 4Justice says no Adagio, no buff comps here, but that is the pick we have been talking about all week with a lot of these teams, with production, with SCFC themselves. Lance, first game.
Yeah, and we're seeing a Lance for, he's the newest hero in the 118, and we've not seen much of his potential in tournaments. We don't really know if he's going to be played as a roam, we don't know if he's going to be played as a weapon or crystal carry.
It's kind of scary to think that he can just kind of do all three. As a first pick, that's probably the strongest foot you can put forward, Rome.
Yeah, with Lance, you do get that flex pick, and it opens up the versatility of what kind of composition you're able to build. But, you know, look at 4Justice. They, right off the bat, they pick up that Celeste. So they're showing their composition right now. They're showing that they're going to be playing this position and making sure that they do get that space between them.
Catherine is not a name that came up a lot when we talked to the teams over this weekend. A lot of Lance, a lot of Arden as the superior picks, but that's a double stun comp right off the bat. Triple if you throw in the silence.
I do have a feeling like Ottomans, when I first played with him over in the Europe server, he was running a lot of that Jewel, and there's a possibility that they will be running a triple stun composition.
Right, this was something that definitely came up. Jewel, Jinyi. You think that's a possible last pick there?
Potentially, but I'm not entirely convinced that Secret will be going for that Jewel, and I do like that, the Cruel pick that's coming up there, because we've not seen too much Cruel, and if anyone could pull it off in 118, it is Team Secret.
Well, I can definitely say the North American statistics for Cruel are not very favorable, but that's a Lance, that's an Arden. We're looking looking at a carry Lance. Which way is it going to fall here, Rum?
Most likely it's going to be a carry Lance up in that lane. And with this triple melee composition, they do leave a lot of space open for 4Justice. As long as they're able to keep that space with Celeste in that back line, she will be pumping out a lot of damage.
All right, well, double peel with that stun and the afterburn. Jinyi, final thoughts on these matchups?
I think they're going to have to stay away from the Lance, because if the Lance gets to that Celeste, it's going to be spell really bad news for 4Justice.
All right, well, we'll see if the Roots prevail. To take us into the first game, ladies and gentlemen, it will be Sona and Xscoundrel for Team Secret against 4Justice.
Thank you, guys, on the desk. I am Xscoundrel. I'm joined by Sona, a fresh face here at the Vainglory Live Championships. He's super excited. I'm super excited. And these teams bringing out Lance as a first pick of the first game, it's going to be amazing.
It's not what we expected, though, because it's a lane Lance. It's going to be absolutely incredible. I thought maybe they'd be playing a Weapon Arden, taking that into the lane, but they've gone for the Lance. Kavalafar's going to show us what he can do on that. Obviously, Kavalafar, known for his mechanical skill. Lance, a lot of rolling, a lot of dodging around team fights. Can he bring it out in this game?
Yeah, but I really like the composition that 4Justice have thought up here to go into Team Secret. Like Jester said, there's two forms of peel. If combat roll happens for Lance, then you can get a silence off, prevent any further CC happening. And also then you have the afterburn as well to knock him away. You are relying on getting Lance into a position, using combat roll, getting the resets to be able to deal the damage to something like Celeste. But with all of this peel, I think he's going to find it very difficult to get into position, Sona.
Oh, definitely. And I think that Blast Trem is a really good point to bring up. Flares come out there, and they're just going to spot out Palmatoro as he goes into that bush. Not really a huge amount happening in the early game. I don't really think Palmatoro and Mowgli here will want to do too much. Krul scales really well into the late game. You don't want to lose out your early jungle camps.
Yeah, so I think the couple of things that 4Justice are going to have to think about here is that Krul is obviously going to be wanting to jump straight onto Celeste. You're going to combo that with the slow from a Lance's Impale. He's going to try and lock that stun up. And then obviously then you try and build the weakness stacks onto Celeste. He's saying, I'm going to try and reduce your damage. So the key for 4Justice is prioritizing that peel for the Celeste. You've got to think about knocking away Krul to stop the weakness stacks. Think about knocking away Lance to make sure he doesn't land any form of his CC on top of Celeste. There's a couple of different avenues that Team Secret can look to exploit, but they have got 3 huge melee bruisers here. But if they can't get onto Celeste, then 4Justice have got a chance. But if they can get onto Celeste, and believe me, they've got lots of options to do so, it may be very difficult to keep that Celeste safe, considering that the only 2 forms of peel that you have are the afterburn and the stun from Catherine. Obviously, Catherine can also silence. That would be really good.
There's a bit of a channel time on that, though, so it can be a little bit hard if you don't use it properly.
And it's all about the timing. It's all about the timing that you choose to use it in. If you use it too early, we saw in the NA Championships, the only time we saw Catherine, she was using it as an engage tool and not a counter-engage tool. As we say, there's a little bit of early action in the jungle here, but...
Charles Vane's just scouting out that bush, seeing if Palmatoro was there. I mean, there's 3 members of 4Justice here, so really Team Secret don't want to do anything with it. They're just going to back away. And one thing Kavalafar, it's actually going to jump onto Jakob. Look at the damage with the Impale, but he's going to take a lot back in return. Can he escape? Afterburn knocks him into the wall.
There we go.
And it's first blood for 4Justice.
There we go. Isolating himself. Afterburn used perfectly. Got chain CC that makes it very easy for Yakub to hit his Helio Genocide. And what is Palmatoro doing right here?
Walking straight into Yakub, but you said the weakness stats are proccing. There's the Spectral Smite. It's not quite enough, and he will be able to escape with the Vanguard. A good bit of counterplay there by Team Secret.
Blew that Smite far too early. One more, and he could have potentially managed to get the execute there, but he was worried. But anyway, like you said, slows and the chain CC for the Healer Genocide. Charles Lavane, he's going to use that stun to just run out, get the movement speed there. So Celeste in 118 had her cooldown reduction on her ultimate reduced, so she actually has easier time spamming that ultimate, the Solar Storm.
I think one big thing for this lane, though, is Kavalafar with that heroic perk has a lot of lane kit clear and can push that Celeste back time and time again until she gets the cooldown on her Heliogenesis down a little bit.
Absolutely, but he is on a timer for that, you know. As soon as she gets that goal, he's going in here.
It's a joke poke, though. He doesn't quite hit the root, and he's not going to be able to pick up Yakub. Trying to position to get that lance onto her, but it's not quite in the right place. Charles Vane is going to get taken very low, pops the Storm Guard, and there's the kill. Now they're going to turn onto Ottomans, and Palmatoro has those weakness stacks going. Is Ottomans going to be able to escape? Spectral Smite comes out, but he will just afterburn away. It's 1-for-1 now.
Absolutely, and Kavalafar was coming to help his team out too. It is a really strong jungle combo, Krul and Arden. We've seen it lots. It actually appeared in the NA Championships a little bit, but we saw a lot in the EU qualifier, Arden and Krul. Very easy to just, run through that jungle, look for jewels, pick people out. And actually, 4Justice, they were overextending to an extent. I think they could have just backed off and taken away some of their back camps. Catherine was very low. Ottoman had low energy at that point. It was a little bit difficult to be seeking fights, especially with how healthy Palmatora and Mowgli were. But it's even up the scales here for Team Secret. We'll have to see how 4Justice go throughout the remainder of this game, though. Remember, you know, the later this goes, they do have the Celeste. She is a super late game powerhouse in terms of poke damage, and against 3 melee champions, poke damage is super good, Sona.
Really, really good, and it's double weapon power on the side of Team Secret as well, something we saw a lot in NA. Do you think that's going to cost them as we get later into the game?
Well, interestingly enough, we were talking about this. Oh, as I say that, Mowgli.
Mowgli gets afterburn back, but he's going to be able to just dance around that bush. Charles Vane is going very low. Pop the Storm Guard and will just about survive. Ottoman's alive as well. A big team fight, but no one goes down yet. 4Justice look like they just want to back away from this one.
The stun from Yakub there single-handedly saved 4Justice in that situation. You have to be super careful, by the way. I don't really think 4Justice want to fight at this point in time. You don't need to force things, especially when you don't have a clear idea as to where all of Team Secret are. Wait until your Celeste is starting to hit power spikes. At the moment, she's not sitting realistically on any items that are going to have huge impacts. Once Celeste picks up maybe 2 items, you know, you get that broken myth, etc., then potentially you can then look to fight. I think at this point, you are going to get beaten in skirmishes. Cruel, Lance, Arden, they all do really, really heavy-hitting abilities in the early game. There's the root.
It's got such a long range on that Impale as well. Yakub is 6, so has that Solar Storm, but not going to be able to put the damage back onto Cavalify yet. And it is about scaling up, as you say. Going to be so difficult for her, though, if she does get caught out. And I feel 4Justice, perhaps a little bit of the nerves of the stage. So Cavalify gets knocked into the wall, Afterburn comes out, but Cavalify just uses that combat roll to get himself away. He's so good at repositioning.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously you do get that reset, which just it's going to be one of the key things, I think, using Lance in this situation. You get the root, or you combat roll, you go for Impale, you get the reset, you go for combat roll again, and then you look to get the stun off if you're obviously near a structure of some sort. And that'll be one of the key engage methods they have. Obviously, you also have the surprise gauntlet over the wall. Those things can always be super useful. And Team Secret again, Yakub.
Oh, that is just beautiful
Wow.
play. Yakub gets destroyed from Hell's Heart to Yakub's heart, and he gets taken down.
That was exactly the type of combination that I wanted to see. Lance getting the root and easy for Hell's Heart, but Mowgli, Cavalifar now, he's just going to be able to get away.
Just Glythian Wall, that's the strength of Cavalifar on this Lance. He can just get away time and time again. Charles Vane goes quite low, but does have that Storm Guard up, so will survive for now. But 4Justice definitely on the back foot in the early game.
And I think this is something that Yakub is going to have to really pay attention. What are you doing, Ottoman? He's just going to have to afterburn away. This is something that I think Yakub is going to have to pay attention to later in the game, because that is the one of the key ways that he's going to get caught out. If he gets rooted by that Impale, then he's just a sitting duck for things like a gauntlet and things like we just saw there, the Hell's Heart. If he does get hit by that, it's almost goodbye Celeste. So, you know, when you're playing a composition like this, really keep Celeste at that back line, trying to be max range with the healer Genocide. Yakub now just going to have to be a little bit careful.
We'll be able to get away. Really interesting itemization here from Cavalifar. He's gone for the tension bow. So he's going for all of that early damage.
Yeah, he really wants to make an impact in this early game. Everything, you know, every time he hits an Impale, he'll just be looking to do as much damage to Celeste as possible. They're really gunning to win this out very early on, and that's Cavalifar doing huge amounts of damage there to Ottoman. He's just going to back off now. But yeah, I think I find it very interesting that he's gone for the tension bow. It is basically spelling out that they want to have an early game impact. They want to get onto Yakub before he gets to that late game powerhouse. Mowgli, blood for blood, not able to do what it needed to do, and Ottoman just knocked away there.
Also, look at the amount of armor already picked up on the side of 4Justice. They've got a coat of plates and they've got a light armor already picked up, so that's going to scale so well for them against this double weapon power.
This is something that we saw in the North America. Oh my god, the double root!
And there is the damage coming down from Team Secret. They pick up one, they're going for Charles Vane as well. Mowgli tanking up the tower, that's 2 down. Are they going to turn on to Ottomans? No, they're not. They settle for 2, but that is the combo we've been talking about.
You have to pay attention to Impale. Obviously, it is an ability that exists for Lance. I know people might not have had that much experience playing against Lance, especially in competitive settings, but honestly, you give him the time of day to land a root like that. I mean, look at it right here. I mean, there's nothing more to say about this than that, the root landed, and he got a double stun into the turret. If you stun, if you use that Glythian wall into the turret or into a wall, you get a stun from it. both hit into the turret there, straight through the gauntlet as well, so that would have provided a stun as well. I couldn't work out whether it was hitting the turret or pushing them through the wall of the gauntlet, but you can see there, that's another combo. It's something that I actually hadn't even thought about till I saw it. Lithium wall knocks them through the gauntlet wall. I mean, there's so many ways to find CC here from Team Secret, and it's a really good way to deal with something like Celeste. Honestly, 4Justice need to be far more eye-open with their positioning. They need to be making sure that they're not giving Team Secret the time of day to look for these engagers. You need to be poking from max range distance, and obviously always being, I guess, aware of when an engage can happen here. Another root.
Look at the damage coming out just from the root. The Impale is so strong, and I think if you're 4Justice, you need to be getting that Crucible as soon as possible.
Oh, absolutely.
There's so much CC coming out from the side of Team Secret, and we can see the Oak Cart already picked up from Charles Vane, so it's coming.
It's coming from Charles Vane, and he knows. He's got that fountain already. I mean, I just take stock of the items. It looks like Ottoman going for an unchanged Glaive build, despite the changes that we've seen to Glaive in 118. He still does his job, but it just means it's a little bit more risky to use Afterburn because the energy cost has gone up. So he's going to be going for a Sorrow Blade here. Broken Myth, I think they're already finished for Yakub. He may be likely going for an Eve of Harvest next. It's something that we did see on Celeste. I think we saw one Celeste in the North American Championship, and her second item was that Eve of Harvest. Let's take a look or stock of what Kavalafar's picking up. I think he's had that Book of Eulogies since the start, so that's not going towards anything in particular. He's actually going for some crystal power here. So
that's a little bit interesting.
Kavalafar, speaking of which, is getting caught out here.
Yeah, takes a lot of damage into the Scout Trap as well, which he will just escape, but here comes the rest of Team Secret, and they can re-engage. There's the Gauntlet's going to stun up Ottomans, and Charles Vane, the target. Spectral Smite will come down to pick that one up. Ottoman's trying to get onto Kavalafar, but he's been left alone, has to Afterburn his way away. From Hell's Heart connects from long range, and now they're going to keep going onto Ottoman. He's going to get taken out here by Team Secret. Beautiful play by them.
Nothing that Yakub could do. He had absolutely no energy in that situation, could have zero impact in that fight there. But the chain CC from Team Secret's composition is absolutely disgusting. It really is a wonder to behold. Let's look at this here. I think this is right at the end. Max range, I think, almost from Hell's Heart. Nothing more to say about it. He gets stuns up and picked off.
It's saving the crowd control as well. They know exactly how long it's going to stick for. They know how the enemy team can escape, and they save their extra bits of crowd control to finish off the fight.
It's beautiful chaining here from Team Secret. They're 2.5k gold ahead now. Remember, we're not going to see double infusions anymore. Those have been changed. You can only get a single infusion per hero. So I'll be interested to see when infusions are picked up. It's usually around 12 minutes. People sometimes pick up infusions looking to fight before the Kraken and get a lead of some sort. Maybe we see something similar happen here, especially between 12 and 14 minutes. I think you'll start to see infusions come out for both Team Secret and 4Justice. I don't think that will have changed in any way. Obviously, you just had to be a little more picky about what type of infusions you want to go for. Interestingly, Lance looks like he's building towards cooldown reduction, which makes loads of sense combined with that tension bow.
No Afterburn going to connect there onto Kavalafar. I mean, Palmator is trying to set up in that side. Could go onto someone here. The stun does land onto Ottoman side, the root, and Mowgli's just going to jump in for a little bit of extra damage, but they don't really need to start anything at the moment. They're 3,000 gold up. They've got the big advantage. Yes, they haven't got a turret or anything, but they've got a great position to start looking around another gold mine and then a Kraken or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, they'll be looking to exploit the very end of that gold mine, maybe around 14 minutes 30. They'll have a decent payout there. And with the dominance that Team Secret has, I wouldn't imagine that any of 4Justice will be looking for fights. Eve of Harvest, I think, on the horizon for Yakub. We did mention it earlier. I wanted to pick up the defensive itemization here. It is something that we saw from NA, especially from a team called Phoenix Rain. They itemized armor.
Don't you mean Phoenix Rain?
Yeah, thank you, Sona. They itemized very heavy armor early on, more so than you're seeing here. And honestly, even though we did see double weapon power compositions a lot in North America, it wasn't that much of a hindrance, apart from teams like Phoenix Rain, who really itemized armor. But to be honest, we did see that come to bite them in the end. They unfortunately prioritized so much on armor, they actually ended up having very little damage to output. And it I think ended up being the real chink in their armor. You see what I did there? Yeah, the real chink in their armor when it came to trying to close out games.
I mean, Charles Vane has delayed that Crucible as well to pick up the armor. So there is only one reflex block. It's on Yakub, who is the target they're going to go for. But he needs to be so careful because he hasn't got all of that protection from his front line.
A reflex block is not going to be enough. Like, you just look at the many forms of CC. You need that Crucible. The Reflex Block needs to be on top of that as well. Honestly, it's going to be so difficult, I think, for 4Justice to deal with this. And I think if they do lose this game, it's not over yet. It's not over till the Fat Lady sings. But, you know, that you think about maybe Adagio, yes, it's a decent ban, but this Lance is really having an impact. And his roots have been almost MVP of the entire early game. There's the Gauntlet coming down.
Speaking of MVP, there's the fight. Yakub gets called out by the Gauntlet, and they're going to turn onto him. Spectral Smite will come down in just a second. Fountain has been popped, but it's not going to be enough. They just about survive. He does get taken out eventually, and now they're going to turn onto Charles Vane. He's going to get taken down. Even with that, Storm Guard should be taken out here by Cavalifar. One more poke, just the tip gets him out, and Team Secret pick up 2.
Yeah, I mean, look at this cooldown reduction as well. It's having such an impact. He's actually gone for, I think that's Aftershock here. So basically looking for a root and then just huge amounts of damage, especially on the higher health targets as well. So this makes a lot of sense. He's got the cooldown reduction. He's going to get a root. He'll go in with one big swinging basic attack, and then that's really putting the pressure onto Cube at that point in time. But honestly, anytime that they get the ability to put Palmatoro on top of Yakub and say weakness stacks building, that's basically isolating the only threatening part of the 4Justice composition. And Team Secret have dealt really well with it. I think that in the early game, 4Justice would have given themselves a better situation to make this happen if they just really respected how much of an impact that Impale from Lance can have.
I think something like a Finn might have worked a lot better for them as well. Catherine really can't do a huge amount of these fights. Double root again. He's going to try and roll in.
Goodbye,
Yakub. Down. Yakub is dead. There's no way he survives that. Solar Storm does hardly any damage to Team Secret. Kraken is up. They might turn their eyes towards that gorgeous woman in the middle of the map, and they're going to go for it.
Look at the vision control here for Team Secret as well. They know exactly where 4Justice will be if they try and come and invade here, and exactly there you go.
Here comes the Impale. They're in such a choke point as well. He can just jump. Look at them. They're lined up for him if he wants to go for it. Going to get the damage down onto Charles Vane. Cavalifar is just going to hold both of the members of 4Justice off here by himself. Impale comes out, roots Ottomans, and Cavalifar can do what he wants. Look at that, a double stun. Afterburn had to use to get away. From Hell's Heart, not quite connecting at the side, but Team Secret, it's a 1v2, and they're getting the Kraken.
Yeah, Lance is just, with that cooldown reduction, is absolutely ridiculous. And the interesting thing about Lance, especially around that jungle, I mean, look at the combat role, especially around the jungle, that's where Lance is going to thrive. You know, any opportunity he has to knock people into, see ya, Yakub.
He's just dead. Like, Gauntlet comes out, yes, they've used all of their skills to try and take him down, but they don't care. It's another person dead, they've got the Kraken. Can they pull off a TSM special here and take all the turrets in the crystal?
Potentially, yeah, but it's not from behind, so it won't quite be a
Team
TSM.
Secret special.
A Team Secret, you got the T and then the S, but not quite the M. And the M stands for, you know, coming
miles behind.
Yeah, exactly, there you go.
There we are, the second turret is going to go down, a route onto Charles Vane, and there's no way he's escaping this one for long. Mowgli on him, Cavalifar there as well. Actually, Charles Vane might get back towards the Fountain. No, not quite enough. Fountain's going to heal him up now. They're going to turn towards the Kraken. The turret there from Hell's to Charles Vane. There's the route as well. He pops the Storm Guard, but he should just about escape off towards the side. Kraken's still pounding away on those turrets. Mowgli goes low, but pops the Fountain. Now they're going to go for the first turret. Going to try and turn on to the second one with that Kraken if they can. Root doesn't quite connect onto Yakub, and the Kraken is still pounding away at the turret. Team Secret needs to be a little bit careful here. If the Kraken goes down,
I think they can just go for it.
Kraken is still there. Yakub has very low energy, pops the Solar Storm, but it's not going to be enough. They're keeping on that crystal. Kraken has died, and now Charles Vane, the target for Cavalifar. Charles Vane will not. He will dodge it out. Doesn't quite get hit by the Impale there. They're going to go for the crystal. This should be it going down. Team Secret taking dominating game 1 of this best of 3.
So let's just recap what Lance can do for a team. One of the biggest strategies that we saw from any Vainglory team, especially in North America, in particular regards to Scarf, that you run this basically hyper carry and then you provide a good amount of peel for him. And there was a few ways to make an effective counter to that, especially in later games. People usually used to go for Black Feather, and it wasn't because you provided any CC, you just were able to use your Rose Offensive, dodge through any kind of peel, and then try and deal the damage to deal with the hyper carry. Well, now you've got Lance, who does kind of the same thing with less damage, but the CC he provides.
Beautiful.
And that combo from Team Secret, that is a composition that was true. I mean, they probably went into draft and thought, how have we just got exactly the composition that we wanted to get? First pick Lance, then we get Arden, you know, and then we also get Cruel. This is a really, really good composition to deal with a hyper carry like Celeste. And honestly, Team Secret, the only thing I can say about this game is Lance. Yeah. His roots were pivotal in terms of turning that early game. That tension bow came out, gave him huge amounts of damage in that earlier portion. Then he goes to the aftershock, which gives him loads of cooldown reduction, and then also, you know, a huge amount of burst damage on his first basic attack. But honestly, the real, I guess, the stand-up point from this series, or rather the first game, was just that synergy between Team Secret. They talked about it in their video. They said, we've got good synergy. People know that we've got good synergy. People are scared of our synergy. And you could see it there with the way they changed that CC, with the way they went from root, you know, to stuns, and honestly, unbelievable. It was just a pure display of brilliance.
I think the draft was amazing from them as well, because you first pick the Lance, everyone is playing it roam. Everyone is playing it roam, and then picking it up, getting the aftershock, getting the tension bow. They got an aftershock on the Cruel as well. They really played the early game so well. Won the draft, won the game. Team Secret through and through. Well,
to break it down a little bit more, we're going to throw it over to our analysts. Take it away, Jester.
Well, definitely starting things off here with a bang. First pick Lance, not the roamer that we thought he might be, Jinyi. With a proc build coming out the bat, he had a tension bow and an aftershock. That was rather surprising to me.
I think that was really clever by going for the aftershock, because Lance's cooldowns are so short, you know, it'll proc every single time. And by using tension bow as well, you know, Celeste, she's naturally quite squishy, so it's going to be very easy to deal a lot of damage to her. And the whole focus of Team Secret was just to take her down very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. So Celeste, a little bit more of a squishy carry in this one. What do you think of the rush down of it, Rome? Do you think that the last pick's kind of for Glaive just wasn't enough to keep Celeste? Maybe they should have left Celeste to the last pick?
Yeah, no, it was way too hard for them. On the side of Team Secret, they just had way too much sustain coming down the block. You know, you have that Cruel always jumping into that front line, making sure that as long as he's able to dive onto Celeste, Lance had like a free path just to try and just lock down those abilities. It gave him that like a free range to really direct on where he wants to really throw down his skills.
So the rush down, Celeste wasn't really able to deal with it. Even with a Catherine, the stun from the afterburn, the silence from her blast tremor, just not enough to deal with it. So we're gonna have to see how they swamp it up here for game 2. Definitely, I gotta say though, Team Secret looking like they're in top form.
Yeah, and this is something that they've always been like really showing us like every time they are on that live stage. They are one of the teams that perform very well. They have that synergy, and they're always very communicative.
Now, something I noticed last weekend, Jinyi, because we were doing the North American Championships there, we had a heck of a lot of double weapon. But that was also on a previous patch. Now, with 118 here, I hear there's rumblings that we're probably not going to see much of that here on Europe.
I think it's something that's been played a lot in Europe. Because we're on 118, it's completely different. And there was actually something I kind of wanted to mention, was that we saw 4Justice starting to build a lot of armor. But of course, the only armor that was coming out from, the only kind of weapon damage that was coming out from Team Secret was that tension bow. And I think it was really quite clever, because they're mostly relying on the damage from the aftershocks there.
Right, so the aftershock, the tension bow, you know, kind of working side by side. You said it was a little bit more of a clever build, and well, I mean, it got the job done. I was back there with the other casters, and we saw that first engage with Lance, and he just brings Celeste down to half. Yeah, the first blood went to 4Justice, but the power is clearly there. Rome, do you think that we might swap things up and look for a ban now of Lance?
Well, I would say it's a little bit too early within this championship weekend to really utilize and find a way to ban around him and choose a composition that's really good against him. And, you know, it's just going to come to show. We do have another three series to come after this match. And this will be like the time to really depict like what's going to happen this weekend, what kind of bans are going to be coming out, what is the current meta for 1.18 with the European champions.
Well, we've already had an Adagio ban, and there was definitely a little bit of talk between all the teams about buff comps. So Adagio not being played, getting banned out. Now that we're going to swap the seeds, there is a little bit of rumbling that, you know, Adagio might still be played this weekend, despite the fact that he's been nerfed. Could a buff comp work, especially since Blackfeather was like a 57% pick for 4Justice, Jinyi?
I think Adagio would still work, even though it does seem like a slight nerf. I actually think as long as you rely on the damage coming from the Adagio himself, so maybe going for an alternating current broken myth build rather than a shard glass and clockwork, because what happens is he deals more damage to enemies by himself.
Right.
So I think it's still viable, but you do have to rely on damage from yourself.
Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're just going to jump right into it. Draft number 2 is ready to go. The players have recovered. This is going to be the potential match point for Team Secret. It's our best of threes. Now, nobody's going to go home. Remember, these are all just group stages, but I'm very excited to see what that will come to pass. So when we do get that ready, it will be thrown up. But, oh, OK, we're going to jump into it right now. So, Rome, first ban, felt like a throwaway last round from Team Secret. Is Justice going to do the same?
Well, with 4Justice going first right now, they do have the opportunity to, you know, either try and lock up that Lance or try and lock up Adagio.
Lock up a Lance, lock up Adagio means throw away a Saw.
Well, Saw has been buffed this time, so, you know, his stacks drop a little bit more slower. And Team Secret are a team that certainly played in a number of different compositions there.
Something that Secret told us is that we will absolutely never allow you to run a buff comp against us.
No, just quickly want to note here, Majestic actually has stepped in for Palmatoro, and I do feel like, you know, seeing him really just sit down there, Saw out of that picture, we don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, Majestic Saw. I believe that they said he can do the roam, he can do jungle, or he can do Saw. he can't do lane unless it's a Saw. So that's a pretty good ban then. 4Justice, they're now going to play the same card as they just had against them. They're going to first pick that Lance. And, well, there's the Arden. Those are the two big guys that we were talking about.
I'll be expecting a Skye, and there goes the Skye, because it's very difficult for Lance to land those skill shots on the Skye because she has so much mobility there.
Now, but what if she gets rooted, though? Could it be a similar situation as Celeste?
If you leave your Series Strikes and anticipate when the root's going to come out, you can strafe around it.
All right, so we'll have to see if this is going to be the way to defeat that Lance. What are we going to finish off here with for Justice, though, Rome?
They do have a lot of opportunity. Like, picking up that Stalker was really smart. They have that burst, they have that gap closer to really get deep onto Skye. But the thing is, Lance, it's going to be revolving a lot around Lance on how he actually initiates on these team fights. Because if he commits and he misses, he's going to be in a very vulnerable spot for Team Secret.
So is this still going to be a carry Lance, or is this going to be more the roam? Looks like he's going to be the roaming this round.
And you know what? This just shows that he is that one of the newest and strongest flex picks coming into 1.18.
Yeah, but a Kestrel's an interesting idea. So we got some gap closers, now a little bit of range damage. What are we going to finish off with Secret, though, Jinyu?
Well, looks like it could be a Rona, but...
Really? A Rona?
Yeah.
It's been like patches now.
Yeah, Rona has been buffed. You know, she's viable as Crystal, she's viable as Weapon. She's very much going to be present in 118.
So going to be Weapon, Rona, Crystal Skye, you think?
I believe so.
All right, final thoughts, Rome?
Overall, like, this is Team Secret, and you can't really have too much doubt against them. I do like the composition coming on the side of 4Justice.
Great. Okay, so into the fold we go with Sona and X-Scoundrel.
Thank you, guys. Here we go. Team Secret looking to sweep it 2-0, but I think 4Justice will have something to say about that. They do have Lance, so...
They do have Lance. I think one important thing was Palmatoro's birthday today. That last game was a bit of a gift for him. We did get him a cupcake in case he wants it, but I think it looks quite delicious to me, so I'm going to snack into this one while you take it away.
Unfortunately, they missed you eating it because the Vainglory logo just covered it, but we can assure you we are eating Palmatoro's birthday cake here. So, a Rona, another sort of hero we have not seen for a very long time. Definitely didn't make that much of an appearance in 117, but 118 did have some changes, and she's kind of making her way back here to the Helicon fold. Cavalifar, we do think, obviously likely going towards a Crystal Power. Skye obviously picked up the early Weapon Blade, but could just be for farming purposes. Going to be going up in lane against Kestrel and Yakub already, just having to do a little bit of dodging from the aggressive movements here.
I mean, Cavalifar Skye is known around the world. He played a superb 2v1 in the NA versus EU tournament, managed to pick up a couple of kills. Just superb positioning, and it worked so well into Lance, as Shinyu was saying. Now, Majestic's going to take a lot of damage, but the root comes out, and Charles Vane is just going to try and back away from this one. Ottomans really can't fight with this Taka yet. He needs a little bit more behind him before he can get into these fights.
Yeah, now Rona...
I say that, he's going to go in.
Now, obviously, Rona has ability to do huge amounts of damage in the late game, but she can still actually duel pretty effectively in the early game, especially once Taka has blown the majority of his abilities. But they are going to get forced out here, and that will give Ottoman and Charles Levane free roam to go and take away some back camps here. And that's exactly...
Oh, look at the damage onto Jakub. The positioning from Cavalifar. There was no way Jakub was dodging that forward barrage.
Absolutely not. And that was just how aggressive... I mean, I was kind of seeing that coming from how aggressive Cavalifar was in lane. We know how good his Skye is. Ottoman now going to try and take away one of these camps. Oh, no, that might have spelt his doom.
Into the fray for Majestic's going to try and get a lot of damage down to him, but he's a fox in a box. Sneaky little fox and man.
He's not done. He's still going for it. He's still looking for more backcamps here, and I think he might even get this one.
Oh, Mowgli's going to spot it.
There we go. Mowgli's figured this one out.
The flare's been used, though, and he doesn't have another flare, so Fox in the Box can come back up and can try and escape. He does pop it. Now he's going to dodge around. Into the fray doesn't quite connect. Ottomans needs to be careful here, because Majestic is still just around the corner. I'm not sure he can get out of this one. He's going to keep trying, though. How long is on that cooldown? It's about 4 seconds. It's not going to be enough. He gets taken out. And Charles Vane gets taken very low by Cavalifar as well.
Barrage!
Not quite going to be enough. Can't quite take him down, but great play again from Team Secret.
Yeah, and again, they're already looking to be early and dominant. Now, I like what the analyst picked up on here about how Sky actually is one of the better picks into Lance, just because of how mobile Suri Strike makes you. You know, you see Lance coming forwards, he's looking for an Impale, and suddenly, ooh, Suri Strike, I'm on the other side of the engage, I'm behind you, I'm starting to do damage with 4 Barrage, and obviously then you have Death from Above, which should be able to have huge impacts when looking to stun up a team that will be attempting to group together. But obviously there are ways to deal with Sky. Attacker does have a pretty decent job of it, and then you've got to combat that with the Kestrel. That's a lot of burst damage you can put out should you manage to get anything on the Sky whatsoever. But Cavalifar, he will be looking to be very mobile.
Here comes Ottomans. They're going to try and get the damage down, but Suri Strike again, just enough to get him away. Nicely done by Cavalifar just to escape. And interestingly, like, we see Jakub going for this Kestrel. We saw Von C play a lot of Kestrel in NA. Can do a lot of damage. You've got Glimmer Shot and that one-shot, one-kill, but he's going to really struggle, I think, into a Rona who can just jump on top of him.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Rona, when she goes in, she only has... I mean, there you go. When just she goes in, you know, she has to go all in that sense, because obviously Into the Fray gives her a boost in terms of her Blood Rage, and then obviously then just loads of damage she can put out by using Foe Splitter as well. And once she gets Red Mist, she is basically like one of those carry killers. We haven't really seen her, but the buffs have given her the potential to increase her damage output. So I'm looking forward to seeing Rona, and hopefully we'll see more of her in the meta, especially in 118. She's such a fun hero to watch work her magic.
I mean, good job from 4Justice here to actually stay ahead in the gold. They are 3 kills down, but they have about a 400 gold lead, so they've got a little bit. Ottomans has done a really good job of coming around the back and being able to just take away some of these camps where he can. The problem for them is, I feel as soon as Team Secret start grouping up and team fighting, they're just going to be so much stronger. They have that synergy that everyone keeps talking about. It's what makes them the best team in EU.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the main thing here is obviously Kestrel should be taken out of the picture by Rona. They think every single time Majestic gets the opportunity, he will be looking to jump right into the fray, right on top of Kestrel, and basically looking to chase him down, try and deal as much damage as possible. They do have 2 stealth heroes, by the way. Both Kestrel and Ottoman, the 2 carries, can enter some form of stealth that will make them fairly difficult to lock down. You know, Rona may jump in and then get faced with active camo, or obviously with the stealth from Taka, and then they can potentially reposition and try and catch Sky unaware.
Yeah, most definitely. And now Charles Vane's going to just use that Glithium Wall to try and knock away the forward barrage does come out. We'll put some damage down onto Jakub, and Cavalifar showing he's not scared at all of positioning aggressively on this Sky. Dodges out the Impale. It's just a joke poke. Here comes Ottomans. He's going to try and jump on, but he walked straight into 2 members of Team Secret, and that's another kill for Team Secret. Rona picks it up. Majestic 3-0 on this hero.
And one of the worst heroes to play against when they start to snowball is that Rona. She has massive snowball potential, huge amount of damage output. Charles Levane having to use Glithium Wall, but he goes down to the forward barrage.
Just no way of him escaping there. It's really, really good play from Team Secret, and they've just switched around that gold straight away. A couple more kills, now they're 200 ahead.
Yeah, Team Secret, and it's just the synergy as well. They knew they could go for that tower dive. Obviously, Rona couldn't pick up the final killing blow, but Cavalifar had him covered with that forward barrage. Ottoman now just going to be starting to take away some of his back camps, but he is surely on the back foot now, Sona. And again, 4Justice look like they could start to be playing from behind.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like it's going to be an aftershock out from Ottomans, so he's going to try and get that aggressive damage on, something you need to do with Taka, but I really think he's going to struggle into Cavalifar.
Yeah.
It's just, he can dodge around so much.
Basically, he's looking for increased cooldown reduction. That means he can proc, you know, his stealth as much as possible. There's the Suri Strike. Look how good that is against both the Kestrel and the Lance. They couldn't catch up to Cavalifar, even though it looked like they had them cornered.
Ottomans has jumped into the bush here, and he's going to jump in with the X-Ray 2. They do get the kill. There's the one-shot, one-kill. Going to hit Mowgli as well. Ottoman's going to try and escape, but it's not enough. Charles Vane uses the Glithium Wall to try and knock him back. Now it's Jakub and Charles Vane versus Majestic and Mowgli. Majestic has gone very low. He's trying to get the damage. Now he does, but it's the Rome versus Rome. home. The Glythian wall, Mowgli into the side of that wall, but it looks like Charles Vane's just going to try and escape. Not level 6, doesn't have that combat. Well, blood for blood is available, as you say. Can Mowgli get in range? Has the Vanguard. He's now going to try and pop the blood for blood. He's not quite going to go for it. I think he's just going to back away. Blood for blood's onto the minion, pops the Vanguard as well. I think Charles Vane should be able to get out of this one. He's got Glythian Wall back up. He's trying to bait because Ottomans is right around the corner. Doesn't quite get the stun. He's going to jump in, misses the Impale, does jump into a scout trap. Oh, there's the X-Retsu onto Mowgli though, and he's going to get very, very low. Should be able to escape with Vanguard. Not quite enough damage on that Taka yet.
Yeah, with just the Aftershock, it is pretty difficult to make that kind of thing. Well, look at the Death from Above and the forward barrage there from Cavalier Fast. I mean, unbelievable amounts of damage output. He has picked up, nearly picked up that, I think, potentially going to be Broken Myth there for Cavalier. That would make sense for the first item for a Sky. Crystal Power. I kind of like, I'm kind of interested about this Aftershock, by the way, as Ottoman has to run away. He won't have huge amounts of damage output compared to maybe a classic Crystal Power. As I say that, I was just waiting to see the action happen there.
Ottomans is going to jump onto Mowgli. Cavalier towards the side. Mowgli does get taken down. And 4Justice will pick up their third kill of the game. It's okay for them. They're equal on the gold, but it's just the way that Team Secret fights together. Cavalier is just been beautiful through this entire game. His positioning is so good, and as soon as you get some Crystal Power behind that Sky, so difficult to fight against you. You will get a 1-for-1 trade, but I don't think you take that if you're Ottomans at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, here comes Majestic, the 5-for-1 Majestic going onto Yakub here.
Gonna put a lot of damage down, won't quite get the kill. Charles Vane is there as well. Could jump in with the Impale. One more Glimmer Shot would be enough to take down Majestic, but not quite gonna be able to pick up the kill. Mowgli here now as well. Is level 6, has that gauntlet, so might try and jump onto Yakub. Decides against it and will just back away.
Yeah, the interesting thing about Rona compared to maybe some other heroes that are good at locking down singular targets is once Rona jumps in, she only gets the benefit from Into the Fray and then Foe Splitter for a very short period of time. You know, once you get that movement speed bonus, you have basically 1 to 2 seconds to deal with your opponent, and especially a ranged opponent, before you are going to become a target yourself. And you saw there, she wasn't quite able to execute Yakub, and then was chased down with some beautiful stutter stepping. She knew that she didn't have the time to buy for herself before she could get another gap closer up, so had to back away. This could prove to be an issue, but I think really when you combine that with Disguise, the repositioning ability, Cavalier should be able to pick up the scraps of what Majestic can start.
I mean, Majestic's got a Serpent's Mask as well now, so he's going to sustain himself even more throughout these fights. Yes, he'll be taking Glimmer Shots. Yes, he'll be taking Impales, but he should be able to survive for long enough, as you say, for Cavalier to clean up the fights.
The issue for me is I feel like if you're going to pick a hero that is designed to do this, Blackfeather is just better. I feel like Blackfeather is just a better Rona. In a lot of senses. I know it doesn't quite work in the same way, but if you're choosing them to do a similar kind of role, which is you want to try and focus down a singular target, Ottoman.
Gonna try and dodge away. He's not gonna get away for too long. There's the gauntlet. Mowgli jumps in. Glythian will knock them back, and Mowgli's gone very, very low. 1 shot, 1 kill. Will hit onto Majestic, who has that red mix popped. Ottomans is there as well. Tries to jump over the gold mine, but won't quite survive. Majestic will go down, and now it's a 2v2. But Cavalier is still on full HP. He does get stunned up there with the Impale. He's still alive, though. And Yakub should go down here. Tries to use that active camera to get away. He'll pick up Mowgli, though. And now the scout trap spotted him out. What can Cavalier do? He's popped the active camera again. Forward barrage is enough. And Cavalier picks up the kill.
2 excellent predictions in that team fight. First, Into the Fray caught Ottoman when he was stealthed. That meant he was broken out of stealth there. That gave them the opportunity to try and focus him down. And then again, Cavalier, excellent prediction with the active camo there. Onto the Kestrel, picking up the kill right at the last moment. You know, it was the obvious way for the Kestrel to go, here we go, we're going to get a replay right at the end. Yakub, brilliant active camo, stuns up Mowgli and gets the final auto attack. And obviously, he's now going to use active camo once more, and Cavalier knows. He knows where he's going, gets that forward barrage and managed to pick off the kill. But 2 excellent predictions from Team Secret gives them the overall win in that skirmish. They're going to try and take the gold mine here.
1 shot, 1 kill, not quite going to be enough, and it does get picked up by Team Secret, but there's going to be a fight starting here. Ottomans try to jump in onto Cavalier. They know he's the priority target. Forward barrage to the face. He was in the shop. He didn't see it. Now Majestic jumps in as well, and Charles Vane's gone very, very low. Active camo's pop, but in a 1v3, you're not going to win out on this one. Yakub gets taken down, and it's the X.
Yeah, I mean, this is just Team Secret absolutely on fire at this moment in time. I think that what 4Justice need to do is they need to be basically splitting focus in the sense that if they have one of them caught, then you use their stealth ability, you try and force them to go onto the other. They just chain those stealth abilities, become a really slippery set of carries, and it makes it very difficult for all of that burst damage. That, and, you know, it's a lot of burst damage that comes through from Sky. I know it's sustained, but if you're looking to singular target burst damage, is quite a lot there. So they blow that. You try and force them to use their cooldowns on one target. They go into stealth, and the other target comes into place, and you know, Ottoman goes in, uses his stealth, then instantaneously, once he's soaked up a lot of the initial, I guess, burst damage, he tries to get out, he heals up, then you bring in the Kestrel. As soon as Kestrel becomes the target, then you use the active camo, and you keep rotating like that. The only issue with that is that you really want to deal with the Sky ASAP, and that limits the options in terms of maneuverability and positioning.
You just look at the positioning throughout the entire fight. The Majestic tanks up the one-shot, one-kill. Cavalifar here, still on full HP. Yes, they managed to pick up the kill, but Cavalifar, death from above, splits up Charles Vane and Yakub. Perhaps a little bit of team communication, not quite. Yakub does a great job here. Yeah, this is really good play.
This is the team fight from earlier, not the team fight that we just saw. And actually that scout trap probably had significant impact there.
I think he can dodge down. If the scout trap doesn't hit him, I think he gets away.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, it really depends on how much of that forward barrage came out. We've got a little break here for
just a quick
4Justice. Yeah, they're just finding out what's going on. But honestly, I do like the Rona. I think the Rona is a really great hero, especially, you know, post 118. She's got some buffs, but I do feel that even though Blackfeather took a hit, he still is just better in this kind of situation at dealing with a singular target. The good thing about Rona, obviously, is that she is a little bit tankier, I think, more naturally, and so maybe can soak up a little more damage than Blackfeather. But
do you not think that Rona, because she's got so much AoE in her kit, with people jumping in and out of camo, it works a little bit better?
Yeah, but then, you know, you get the movement speed bonuses in a lot of situations from those. It's very difficult for Red Mist to be able to hit. You know, in what situation are you going to have two carries stealthed around Rona?
Gauntlet. Gauntlet, they're both in the middle. Red Mist.
Yeah, but once you pick up things like reflex boxes, they kind of negate that. But I do see the theory there. I like the theory. Right. But obviously, Red Mist it's not a huge AoE. It's a pretty big AoE, but it's not huge. And even in the Gauntlet, you should be able to negotiate your way around it. I think she's just quite solid at all parts of the game. But yeah, I do feel, I mean, I can't really say anything. Team Secret are winning with it, but I feel like if they wanted to burst the target more effectively, the Blackfeather would have been a better pick. But in this situation, you know, they're playing it incredibly well. Rona has become the threat, right? Rona, with how many kills she's managed to pick up, has become the threat. And that's forcing 4Justice to deal with her. Kestrel has to put the focus on Rona, because if you don't, then she will just run away. And the issue is, and this is a positioning issue here for 4Justice. The way that Rona and Sky naturally position is that you have Rona leaping in, using that into the fray, and then Sky will always be at the back, just as Sky does, using forward barrage. Whenever she uses Suri Strike, it will just be able to be using her to negotiate her way around a team fight. If you want to focus the Sky, you have to run straight through the Rona. It's going to make it very
difficult.
You can't kite back, right? Because you initially want to kite back versus a Rona because she's very, very easily kiteable. Like you can see very early on, we saw once that into the fray, and then the movement speed from Foe Splitter is already used. She doesn't have anything left in her tank to catch up to something like a Kestrel. If you want to deal with the Sky, however, especially in areas around the gold mine, the only way you can go is through the Rona. So that means you have to use your stealth and appear on the back and deal with the Sky, and then deal with the Rona afterwards. It's actually very difficult for 4Justice to get past this frontline bruiser of Rona. Honestly, it makes a lot of sense in that situation. And now, when I was talking about the Blackfeather, maybe this is kind of a reason they picked it.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think 4Justice is in a really awkward position, because if they then start to focus the Rona, she's got that Serpent Smash, she can sustain pretty well. Red Mist is going to have a huge impact in that sense too. You know, that's just buying time for Sky to do what Sky does. You know, forward barrage in the right position, Suri strikes, death from above, all that backline damage. So once they've already dealt with the Rona, either they're in a position for Sky to clean up, or they're just already dead.
Yeah, it's just so strong, and we see Team Secret just playing not out of their skins, but the way we expected them to.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the first seed. There was a possibility always, you know, they were 8th seed in autumn. It's what Cavalifar was talking about on the desk. There was always the possibility of an upset. 4Justice could come out of the woodwork. We haven't got any footage of them. We didn't know how well they were going to play. But Team Secret's showing us why they're the #1 EU seed. They are a very, very strong lineup, and I think it's going to be very difficult for teams to beat them this week.
We are back into game here, ladies and gentlemen. Cavalifar going to take that turret here with the Death from Above and the forward barrage going to take it down very quickly. Majestic and Mowgli just going to be taking away some front camps on their exit of the 4Justice jungle. Gold9 up, it's going to be around 3 minutes now until Kraken. We may see some infusions within the next few minutes. Looks like there's an infusion on Jakub. No, sorry, no, that's not infusion. That's just my eyes. That's just my eyesight.
It's breaking point.
It's actually breaking point, which I kind of think makes a little bit of sense. But you know, you're expecting the elongated engages. Majestic, he's going to try and jump in here.
He's going to run in. The Vanguard comes as well. They're going to try and get the gauntlet down, which they do. And now Jakub has nowhere to go. Tries to pop the active camo. Glimmer shot, not going to be enough. He gets taken out. X-Rexu from Ottomans will jump into the fray, but Charles Baines goes very low. Death from Above not quite going to connect. He will get taken out by Majestic, and Team Secret pick up 2.
Ottoman here, he's going to get away with the skin of his teeth, but Team Secret absolutely dominant. I mean, that is something that you can do with Rona, for instance, especially combined with an Ardin. That Vanguard comes down, you get the movement speed increase, you have Into the Fray, you have Foe Splitter, you're a very, very fast killer bunny at that point in time. You know, and that gives you the opportunity to pick off stragglers like Jakub. And then the Gauntlet came down, and Jakub actually had a reflex block, I think, but didn't use it to exit the Gauntlet. And you can see there he was stuck right in the edge, and makes it very easy to pick them off. They only know that he was going to go one direction in that active camo, so stayed around and managed to get the kill there. Majestic going to be backing out in a safe position. So Team Secret 17-6. They're certainly looking dominant from this point in time. What can 4Justice do to get back into it? The breaking point to me kind of makes sense, but I think, you know, if you're hoping for elongated team fights, you're hopeful. Yeah. I think in this situation, you're hopeful.
You look at this is a 3v2 at the moment, and they use Glithium Wall to try and disengage the fight. It just shows the mentality coming out from 4Justice. Ottomans is split away from his team. He'll try and dodge away.
Goodbye.
Kavalifar says goodbye. Forward barrages, tons of damage. Now they're going to turn onto Jakub. Siri strikes in. Kavalifar does get knocked, but no stun from the Glithium Wall. Double root comes out. They're going to see if they can get onto Jakub, which they can. Active camo's forward barrage is in the wrong direction. What can Kavalifar do? Not much, but Majestic is there, and Majestic should be able to pick up the kill here onto Jakub. They do get the second. Charles Vane now getting dived under his turret as well. Mowgli just tanking up. Kavalifar will Siri strike in, get the kill. Kavalifar won't quite survive. He's going to get taken out. He's kind of a big deal, but he's not quite big enough to survive that final turret shot.
Ottoman coming in here, not sure how much he can do. They might just ignore him and go for the turret. Yeah, honestly, the Death from Aboves from Kavalifar have been absolutely ridiculous for zoning purposes. Just in that small skirmish engage, that elongated fight, we saw 2 Death from Aboves that basically zoned out Ottoman and Charles Avane's exit paths. Both of them couldn't exit because Death from Above was happening. It meant that they were able to secure the kill just from forcing them to negotiate their way around it. And this is just, you know, one of the best skies in the world right here, ladies and gentlemen. Team Secret's Kavalifar is really putting down his foot as potentially, if not the best Sky we have in the world.
Yeah, he's such a good Sky player. And once again, we're going to see them start to set up around this gold mine. I don't think anyone's going to get this before Kraken spawns. Only 10 seconds left, so unless 4Justice go for something really, really manly, they're not going to be able to get it. Forward barrage comes out from Kavalifar, and it looks like we're going to have a fight on our hands. Charles Vane has gone very low. Jakub gets jumped upon. There's the gauntlet as well, and Charles Vane's outside. There's no support there for them in the middle. There's no Roman now. Ottoman's going to try and jump onto Kavalifar. Jakub has been chased off by Majestic. Does get the stun down. Charles stays very low. Kavalifar. Jakub will survive, but now they do manage to pick up the first kill now. And there's 3v2. Majestic's going to go onto Ottomans as well. He survives.
Wow.
And Team Secret pick up the X.
What a brilliant last-minute fountain from Mowgli as well. It meant that Majestic was able to survive that last pit in the fight with Ottoman. But realistically, you saw glimmers of potentially what 4Justice could have done.
Yeah, glimmer shots of potential.
If you kept the scoreline a little bit more even, it's 23-7 right now, but even then, it's only around a 6k gold advantage. I mean, I say only, that's a pretty big deal. Yeah. But honestly, if they'd managed to keep it even, maybe looked for less fights in the earlier games, you had a glimmer of what 4Justice could potentially do. Jakub was just perfectly kiting Rona around there, and given more time and maybe a couple more items, you saw that he could very quickly be able to deal with him, and then they maybe could turn their attention to Kavalifar. But unfortunately, at this point in time, they're probably just too far behind to make that happen.
Yeah, they do have the Kraken up, and Team Secret are going to try and get the Vayne. As Kavalasar said, though, it's not over till the Vayne goes down. It's not over until they get that victory screen. And Mowgli's just positioning up towards the top side of this, seeing what he can do. Kavalasar being a little bit more aggressive. He knows he's got the Kraken at his back. And now it's basically a 4v3. Death from above does come down. Jakub takes a bit of damage. They're going to try and turn this fight around. 4Justice going to jump onto Kavalasar, but he series strikes away. The first camouflage is being used. Jakub goes low as well. Charles Vayne doing what he can. They're going to jump onto Kavalasar. They can't quite take him down. The fountain is enough to keep him alive for now. Charles Vayne goes very low as well. The gauntlet stuns up Charles Vayne. He's going to go down. Ottomans has no way of getting out of this one apart from the jump. The gorgeous little bounce he did out of there. One shot, one kill, not going to connect. There's no Von C in this game. And now Team Secret will back away. The Kraken is still pounding away at those turrets. Actually, we do see the first kill going down onto Kavalasar. Mowgli's going to try and help out the Kraken to take down this turret. And can Ottomans and Jakub actually defend versus this Kraken?
I don't know if they can, Sona. They've got a very limited amount of time here. Mowgli using that Vanguard to buy time for his team. Now they're going to have to focus down the Kraken, but it might be too late.
Yeah, Majestic jumps in as well. The Kraken's still at half HP. Can it do it? One more will be enough. The Kraken! Oh no, it's not quite. Is the Kraken going to die? Last also attack, and they do get the win! Team Secret take it 2-0.
Wow, Kraken right there doing that final job for Team Secret. And 4Justice, you saw the potential that they could have had versus the Team Secret lineup. I don't like to point out, but I do think that Charles Levaine's Lance wasn't quite as impactful as Mowgli, or rather as Kavalasar's. I think that Kavalasar and Lance had a huge impact, but Charles Levaine definitely not having the best Lance game. If he'd managed to land a little bit more of those impales, then locking up things like Kavalasar on that Sky, they may have been able to take them down, comboing both Jakub and Ottoman on those heavy burst champions in that situation. But honestly, fantastic game and fantastic series from Team Secret. Really utilizing Lance great in that first game, and this game, honestly, finding the counter to Lance in the sense that their carry is the Sky, very easily mobile with that Suri strike, makes it hard to land things like that impale for the Lance.
I mean, a lot of it is just the skill of Team Secret as well. Their synergy was on point. They knew when to play aggressive. They knew when to play defensive. And I think we're going to pass it over to an interview with one of Team Secret, and they're going to talk to us about how well they won those games.
All right, thank you very much, guys. I am live here with Kavalasar, your MVP from this series. Kavalasar, that was pretty out of control. We saw you play some Lance. We saw you play some Sky. I wanted to ask you about your Lance right off the bat, because I assumed if we saw Lance, it would probably be played by Mowgli. But you took it to the lane, and you got a lot of work done with it. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So Lance basically, as everyone knows, has a really strong early and probably mid game. So the matter with Lance is that, especially since I started with the book, Lance can easily sustain in the lane. He's also a very tanky hero, and basically, if he lands that impale, as you can see, does a lot of damage. He can basically out-trade with the majority of the laners. So Lance, you just have to basically, it's like a second support when you arrive at late game, but still he can make the plays and set up your team for a good team fight.
Yeah, definitely. And when that gauntlet goes down from Arden, the Githian wall right in, that's a dirty combo. Well, you guys played it phenomenally. Also, I wanted to ask about, you guys had Majestic come in here, and what is it? What are the reasons that you would bring Majestic in, and what does he add to your team?
Okay. So the reasons is not that we don't trust Palmatoro. It has nothing to do with it. The reason Majestic played the second game is to give him a chance to play in the live finals with us, because he accompanied us in the qualifiers, and he also played with us in the Battle of Champions. So we felt, even if he's a sub, he deserved this place in at least playing once with us. So we gave him that chance, and he proved that he can play live without any issues.
Yeah, definitely Majestic. Pretty OP as well. Well, guys, last question. You got a lot of fans out there. I call you Kavalasar, Kavalar, whatever you need to say. Hey, what do you want to say to your fans if you got one thing?
I want to say thank you so much for all the support to Team Secret, and especially to me. I mean, some months ago, it was crazy that someone even cared about me. And now people actually they recognize my potential and our team. And they support us, and they want us to win. So that really warms my heart, and I want to say thank you all.
All right, my man. Well, congratulations. We look forward to seeing more out of you in your next series. Congratulations, you guys. K Volafar, right there. And with that, we'll send it back to our analysts at the desk. Thank you.
Well, a very strong showing for seed number 1, definitely showing that they are here to win, guys. But, you know, it's not the end of the road for 4Justice. They will have another attempt tomorrow, but if they can't actually put a win on the board, then they might be the first team to go home. That will still yet be an untold story. So let's talk a little bit about that series, guys. First set of games, Rome, you know, Lance, he comes out first pick. He's in lane, a little bit different than what we saw in game number 2. But the styles looked, is it because of the teams, or is it because of Rome, or is it because of the way that Lance was built? The styles just seem so different from games 1 and 2.
Yeah, no, it's just overall like fitting Lance into a composition that you feel is well-rounded. And in that first game, they put him in a composition that had a lot of crowd control, and they made that work really well on their end.
So it seems like 4Justice just wasn't able to protect their carries a lot. The squishiness came out, the rundown, the jump at you factors in you from Team Circuit. It just looked pretty dominant.
Yeah, and I think there's quite a few things wrong. And first, you know, there are 3 gap closers. You know, Lance can't really protect against all 3 of these.
Right.
And also, you know, the Taka, particularly in the early game, I think there could have been a bit better coordination between 4Justice there, because what we're seeing is that Taka is being left solo jungle, and Crystal Taka is not the best at clearing the jungle camps. And what was happening is he was rotating up to the lane very well, but the problem was by that point he didn't really have much energy, so he couldn't really do many attacks.
Just ridiculous damage. Look at Cavalifar there. He just jumped Celeste, and that's a weapon laning Lance. So, I mean, I really just don't know what the precedent is going to be set here for this weekend, but there are a few other things to note here. Crystal Taka, not something we saw in North America, I do believe.
Yeah, we saw a lot of weapon Takas, but Crystal Taka, really not that many. And Crystal Taka, however, is very good. You know, can deal a lot of damage to the sky. But I think what we saw in that game was there really wasn't much coming out. You know, as long once Cavalifar knew that he got the Kaitan and the X-Ret so off, and he was still alive, he was like, okay, there's a few seconds before the cooldown, before he can attack again. It's all good.
I mean, I'm definitely a fan of Crystal Taka when I play my Battle Royales, but, you know, that's obviously a different tier. The other thing I want to note is that Rona, we haven't seen Rona in any of the patches. Almost, it feels like 2 or 3, like 116 or so, maybe 115, but Rome, they brought a weapon Rona to the table, and Secret won with it.
Well, finishing that last pick, picking up that Rona is actually a very good counter, especially when going up against that Taka. You have that high sustainability, you have that crowd control where you're able to jump right into their front lines, even to the back lines, and make the